Felt good. Felt really good to kind of be out there for a full game. Like I said on Sunday, I thought we played well, but just looking to do the same thing this upcoming week. You just want to keep improving. So I think Harrison said it in his interview. He was talking to me and kind of his mindset on it. We're kind of hoping that was the worst game that we played all season. So that's the kind of mindset that we want to have and we want to continue to get better, continue to be better each and every game, and just continue to improve. But I think this past Sunday was definitely a good way to start off the season, other than the loss. But I think as an offense, like I said, we played well.
Okay, love head quarterbacks. Justin Fields, JF1, liftoff. Looked amazing in his first game in Tanner Engstrand's new offense. And Matthew comes in as QB6 against the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, this is a quarterback and a running back all in one person. 31% of the Jets' team rush attempts in week one. He had 44% of their red zone rushes. He had 60% of their goal-to-go rushing attempts. By the way, no quarterback had more designed runs, thanks to FantasyLife.com's utilization report. No quarterback had more designed runs last week than Justin Fields. So, you think about this matchup with the Bills, where Lamar had 70 rushing yards against them, average almost 12 yards per carry. I think Justin Fields, who has had at least 23 fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 starts dating back to last year, QB6, wheels up.
Talking about like Spider-Man or something, a quarterback and a running back, all in one man. He can do it all, Justin.
He can, 100%.
Yeah.
He can pass.
Yeah. He can do it all. Another guy who can do it all is Joe Burrow.
My point is if you looked at, if all you did was look at Justin Fields' rushing, rushing stats, it's like a good running back. It's like a good fantasy running back, and then he adds points with his arms. And
Absolutely.
so,
I also thought that the way that Tanner Engstrand deployed Fields was just better than he's ever been deployed in his career. Like no more wide receiver screens, which it felt like he was throwing every second play in Chicago. Joe Burrow gets the Jags, which I think is going to be a much easier matchup than against Myles Garrett and friends in Cleveland, who Burrow has struggled against at times. Not worried about Joe Burrow. We just have too much sample of him and Chase and Higgins in this offense. He's going to be fine. Market projects him for like 277.5 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He's going to get back on track. And another man who's looking to stay on track, Matthew, is Justin Herbert.
Yes, the chubby leather daddy himself, Justin Herbert. I'm a QB8 this week, Jay. I think if you lose this week, it won't be because of Justin Herbert on your team. No team had a higher pass rate over expected in week one than the Chargers. We've talked about this. This is going to be more of a pass-heavy team than we thought it was going to be initially in the preseason. Dating back to last season, very quietly, Justin Herbert has been a top 10 fantasy quarterback now in 4 straight starts. We sort of like this wide receiver crew a little bit more than we did, a month ago or when drafts were happening. Obviously, Keenan Allen looked good. Ladd McConkey goes without saying. And some of the, Quentin Johnson looked good in week one as well. Worth noting that no team faced more pass attempts in week one than the Las Vegas Raiders, who the Chargers play this week. They faced 46 pass attempts. They gave the 6th most passing yards. The Raiders didn't look like a dominant secondary against Drake May. Their defense played well overall, but the way to move the ball against them was throwing it. That's what Drake May and company decided. So Herbert should have no problem. He's QB8. He's also using his legs more this year, which is great. Fully healthy.
He looked
very
fast. Lawrence, another man who looked pretty fast is Patrick Mahomes, who didn't have the stats, didn't get the result, but there were some explosives in this Chiefs offense for the first time in a while.
Yeah, QB6 in week 1, and I feel like it's been a while since we said something like that about Patrick Mahomes, but mainly because of the rushing. 6 carries, 57 yards and the touchdown. He threw the ball 39 times, and I think that's how they're going to get their meal against this Eagles defense. Their run defense is going to get tougher with Jalen Carter coming back. The Eagles defensive backfield is still trying to look for another cornerback. He was getting ate up by Dallas receivers, particularly CeeDee Lamb. So I think you heard me talk about Isaiah Pacheco earlier and how they're not going to go that way. I think they're going to depend on Patrick Mahomes. He's the guy. He's the Superman. So I think he could get back into that old fantasy Patrick Mahomes starting this week.
Yep, that was very encouraging, even with Xavier Worthy getting knocked out of the game and no Rashee Rice still able to generate 3 explosive passes.
Well, and by the way, they were doing that sort of on the fly because Worthy gets hurt very early in. Mm-hmm. Now they're on kind of a mini bye. They played on Friday last week, and now they've had more time to sort of adjust. Okay, now we know what we're dealing with here, and so they can figure out more of the offense, to your point.
Indeed. All right, let's get to others receiving votes, headlined by the newly christened Traveller, who's QB 12, Matthew.
The Traveller comes in as a QB1 for me at QB 12, as you mentioned. Look, you had me at Bengals. They're playing the Bengals. Cincinnati was 28th in pass defense in week number 1. They made Joe Flacco look like a 35-year-old. And this over-under, like...
He didn't say 25, he said 35. That's how you know.
Flacco's like
you
45,
up there.
Isn't he? Like, isn't Flacco like 44 or 45 years old?
Still got the arm of a 22-year-old, apparently.
Yes, he certainly
He
does.
can throw, yeah.
48.5 is the over-under in this game. Jaguars at Cincinnati. It's tied for the highest game total in week 2. We expect a lot of explosiveness on both sides of the ball. So I think Trevor Lawrence has a better game in week 2 than he did in week 1. And how about Caleb Williams, who, uneven performance on Monday Night Football, but fantasy-wise was good. Used his legs as well, right? He had 2 matchups last year in a lost season for Caleb Williams in the Bears offense. He had over 22 fantasy points in both games against the Lions, averaged 24.5 fantasy points. Remember that Thanksgiving game? He almost won it. Should have won it, right? Yeah. As well. Lions couldn't get home in week number 1. They were just 27th in pressure rate. And so we know if you give Caleb Williams time to throw, he can do some damage. And so Caleb Williams, who gets you more points with his legs than he ever gets credit for, is my QB 14 this week. Tej says that Caleb Williams will be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. All caps. Remember I said that. All right, Tej, we're going to do that. I'm going to remember you said
Write that down.
Yeah, the Tejler.
Well, yes.
I ain't mad at it.
The Tejler.
Yeah, we'll come back and check in when Caleb Williams finishes as QB 13.
Yeah.
But no, Caleb, the thing with Caleb is that his bad aspects kind of lend themselves positively to fantasy, and that he just holds onto the ball too long and then takes off.
And then starts running.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.